Welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith, and this is Let's Look Under the Old Girl's Apron Part 3. We're in here. We're gonna start off this project. Remember, this is the little feed screw, and it had worn its path into the cast housing here, and not much damage or wear on the gear. So what we did is we turned a little bronze spacer ring to go ahead and fill that cavity, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to heat that up and silver solder that in place, and then we get to go look at some fun stuff we've been creating in on the X-Carve. But let's go ahead. I'm going to use the standard Harris Stay Silver white flux, and I'm also using Silverloy A45 general purpose silver solder. It's kind of almost everything that you've ever seen me silver solder, with the exception of a couple things. This is what my go-to materials for this kind of job. All right, so let me bring you in so that you can get a close look at this, and let's get it done. Okay, let's recap a little bit on here. We're in position. We'll zoom you in here in a second. This little bronze ring that we made here is 544 bronze. It's very good, durable, wearable bronze bushing material, and that's why we chose to put it there. We feel that this is going to wear every bit as good as the cast did, maybe even a little bit more. And this will be kind of a test run to actually see about this. So we'll get this in place, we'll get it on the machine, and then we're just going to use the machine as much as we can and see how much wear we develop on here. And I don't really see this a problematic area of the machine. It's just been running since 1988, minus the couple years that I've had it sitting here waiting for me to put this thing together. Other than that, you know, most of its wear is probably just in that forward direction of driving. This gear doesn't drive the machine forward. This gear spins and rotates in a direction where it pushes this gear against the side of this while it drives the gear, and that's the thrust. So this is not carrying the thrust of the machine. It's just because of the torque against the gear, forcing it against that side of the housing. All right. So anyway, we'll set that out of the way, and let's go ahead and we're going to prep this area out here. So I'm going to bring you on in. And just taking the acid brush here and painting in. It's not necessarily just put it in the gap, but you should rub your flux on the surface, like a little scrubbing action almost. Because sometimes I don't think the flux, you could actually heat up the flux, it could dry up, and it can actually create a gap where it's not really gonna bond at that point. All right, and the same thing, I want to put it all the way around the outside edge of the ring here. All right, now we're going to place that right on top of there. We're going to float that right in there. Give it a little rotation. You notice a little shim over here. We got it cocked this way. We want that ring to settle down this way here. So when we heat this up and we actually float it on the solder, gravity is going to actually bring it down this way. You don't really think about molten metals and them being fluid, but things work the same, and when it floats up on there, we may actually have to take our stick here and hold that down, things like that. We just got to be prepared for all of those kind of things before we get started, so we don't have to go search for the tool. I don't care if a little silver solder comes out and goes over the surface there. All right, I'm going to wipe my fingers, and then we're going to fire up the torch and we'll start getting this going. Okay. We're going to concentrate a little bit of heat down on this block below the part first. We just don't want it to be stone cold and suck out some of the heat. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll start heating up the base here. It's a better thing if your whole project warms up. Almost all the problems I had in my earlier days of learning to silver solder, braid, weld, and all of that is actually trying to get ahead of the process. We're starting to get a little glow of red there. That's out in the thin section. We want to bring it around the back a little bit. And the ring is starting to turn red. Okay, let's see if we can start adding a little solder here. Yeah. You can start seeing it coming in through the underside of the, which that's no biggie, all the way back to the back there. Okay, now we're going to actually, we know it's floating on there. All right, we actually got enough actually squirting right down inside. A little over there, a little over there. I know it went right down underneath that little ring there. We see some good joining out around the outside surface right in here. That's a good bond in there. We're going to be running the reamer down through the bore and opening that up. And if we have to work a little bit on the face there, we'll work that on the face. The main objective is to get rid of that play that was in on this, in that gear, in the travel one. It's on the rod. All right, so our objective here has been accomplished, and I got a good bond on that. I'm real happy. All right, let's go check out a few other things that we've been playing with on this Rutland lathe. Okay, well this one, I guess I got the depth just a little bit off, huh? Boy, running the CNC stuff is like having an employee that doesn't get your instructions all the time, huh? I said machine that part. Well, you know what? Hey, I can be conventionally machining, and I have a lot of freedom there. But you got to be exactly right in this CNC world. And my problem was I had a millimeter of stock height here to play with, and when I touched off and created 0, of course, I was actually touching a part which is that much lower, and of course when you get to the end of your cut, there's no more part underneath on that side there, and it is what it is. And we'll change our settings there, and just chalk it up for another one. Hey, it's not too bad. I mean, I went racing across there first thing this morning there. That was the first sip of coffee there, and you know, hey, a whole bunch of learning going on here, and I still got a bit, and I still got material to go, so we're on our way. Okay, here we go. This is a modified wiper. We just finished machining that one, but we want a little bit more material coming out on this side here. All right. Oh, we're gonna go ahead and put on our draft first. Now our spindle, and we hit the go button. Okay, we're getting ready to do another first. We've pretty happy with our wipers. Now we want to try to cut out the whole set, the 4 wipers, all at the same time. And this is looking at the Fusion 360. And if we drop this down here, I've already gone in and I've done the cut paths and created. This is going to cut out on this one here. And then we're going to cut out on that one there. Then that one. The holes will be all done at the same time. It'll go through and follow that pattern there. After that, we'll come in and we'll do the contour. The contour will contour all the inside, the felt surface around the edge of all of the wipers, and then the outside will be the last. All right, and I've got this set up in chili pepper, and it's all set and ready to go. So I'm going to turn the camera to the table now, and let's see how the first of cutting out a 4 set works out for me here. And if this works out good, then we're going to be switching out our material. We're going to cut our first black Delrin wipers. Okay, just before we start getting cut, and we're going to cut that 4 set right out of up here. But I wanted to show you, we actually have 4 of these that are missing, and these wipers right now are mounted up on the carriage of the Rutland right now, and they're in place, and they kind of show you the amount of cuts. I started learning and setting up and playing, and this one here, this cut out and sucked up in the hose, and then as I went, I was changing hole locations. I was working for finishing. I was trying conventional milling on these first, and then I switched over and found that climb milling and leaving more material for the finish cuts really do let you have a lot better finish on your parts. And we still argued a little bit about hole location because the holes are not uniform on these lathes. Those holes that hold the wipers on are far enough off from each other that if you're trying to hold the whole location within 20-30 thousandths of matching each other, it's just not going to happen. This one here, I happen to just tell it to do the contour and outline, and I misjudged my layout. Didn't punch in the right thing, so I just stopped number 7, and it became 8, and so on. So within less than a dozen attempts here, I'm able to get my first part cut out and bolted on the lathe there, and a good happy example. And you can see that we're just about up here using up our mistake. The very first cut of the whole process here was scrapping out our piece of material, if it was needed to be in full fashion or a complete piece. And a lot of people say, hey, why don't you use some junk material, whatever. I want the I want the real deal. And throughout my career, sometimes you don't have that chance to go practice on something, on especially a costly part, and you got to keep that. That's got to be that's part of what happens. And so this is $40 piece of material, $50 piece of material, and but the learning curve and everything else, and I didn't want anything less. I didn't want to get my real material in here and then not know that I was working on my feeds and speeds and the way I left the material for cutting. Anyway, enough of this here. Let's go ahead and let's get the vacuum and the spindle on, and let's get going. The initial cut of coming in and clearing out these pockets, it comes in, creates the deepest cut at one time, and then after that it's only 2 millimeters per drop. See, the second cut around is not so aggressive. This is in the climb milling direction for this entire project as well. We have learned that climb milling and leaving more material for the cleanup lets you have a better cleanup on the part, and the surface finish is a lot better at the end. Okay, we're going to let the rest of the pockets cut out here, and when it comes into time to cut those holes, the next setup, I'll bring you back in and we'll see that. Okay, this is just about done with the last pocket here, just a couple little edges right here. And then we're going to go in for the holes. First hole rough, finish cut, come in and repeat the finish cut so we get a nice clean surface. Okay, next hole. The program that they develop for doing the bores, actually that's what you're putting in there is a, you know, I'm putting a hole in there, but it's actually considered a bore. That's a 1/4 inch deep there. Now the pockets we milled out before that, they take just a little bit over 7 minutes each. This is pretty well a fast setup here. Now, for those of you that want me to go ahead and send you wipers or make wipers for your Rutland lathe or your simulated lathe, I suggest not having any holes in them, and you set up and drill the holes in your wipers. It took a little bit just to get the whole orientation for mine, and I'm sitting right here at the lathe there, I mean at the, you know, they're not uniform. It's not a uniform pattern. Even after these hole locations, I'll probably have to open up 1 or 2, about 20 thousandths or so. Okay, now the inside contouring will start. It goes around, takes a cut, and then it takes a finished cut. And then a spring cut. Okay, we came back over to the project here, and it's already started the outside profiling. And it'll take a hog cut, and then a spring or cleanup cut, and then a spring cut. And it'll go all the way down. It'd be curious to see how well we do on our depth and our tabs all the way across the board, depending on how level and the shape of our table, what we programmed into it. I believe it's going to cut out the two center ones and then come over and cut the outside or the backside wipers after that. I think that's the way I programmed it. This is the front aft wiper here. Means it's on the front side of the carriage to the right hand or the tailstock side. Okay, it's joined the tabs. I eliminated one tab on the inside, so the whole inside along the ways is 100% fresh, clean cut. I don't have to trim a tab in there. Just a spring cut now. It'll come around and then lift out and go to the next part. Okay, they're all cut out. We moved the cutter back. Now there's little tabs down in there, and we're just taking our little blade here. Actually, we need a new blade in here. All right, so we take our knife here, and all we do is go through and cut our little tabs that are in here. And we only got 4 on this one here. There we go. There's a slight membrane on the back side. Some of it's cut through, but some of it's not. It's real thin. This material was 515 thousandths thick in some places, and our set was for 1/2 inch, right on the money. And I just leaned on my keyboard. Okay, so we're gonna break out all 4 of our pieces, and then we're gonna go into the sander and dress off the flashing and the tabs that are on there. Okay, so we took all the flashing off of our parts here, and these are the hole diameters that we got. Now we've had to drill a chaser drill through each one of these holes here, and we may have to do the same thing, but we're going to take these wipers off and we're going to bolt on the ones we did in the 4 set. And if we're happy with that fit up, then we're ready to go ahead and grab our black Delrin and cut out a finished set of wipers, and then we'll be able to cut out. And these basically all we're doing, replacing them. They look identical, so we'll just see how the fit up is here. And that screws in without any problem, and that one too. Awesome. Now, like I said, these holes are all different for each, the front and the back, compared one to the other. And I suggest actually cutting these out without any holes and taking a 1024 center punch and hold these up to it and lightly mark where your holes are, and then drill them to fit up these wipers on your lathe there, instead of having to waller out or open up the holes on these. All right, let me get the rest of these on here, and we'll check the fit. All right, the 2 back wipers, I was able to get the screws in and tighten them up. They are a little firm. It took a little bit of pressure, and I can feel that they are pressing a little bit. I think it's more in and out than anything. It's a little bit firm on the wipers, but I can live with it because I can just take a drill and open up the holes, and I know that they'll fit just as easy as I got those to fit. Excellent. I'm real happy I was able to cut all 4 of those in one setup. So I'll be actually able to set up and cut wipers in full sets. Now I'm ready to go cut my first black Delrin set of wipers and wiper retainers. I'm calling the whole thing a wiper because the felt and this all together is a wiper. And so hey, let's head on in and set up the black sheet and start cutting some black wiper retainers.